Hello and welcome to the School of Cloud. I'm Jeff Williams, and this week we're learning Intro to Cloud. We also have today Elaine Chan, who studies over at Western Michigan University. Okay, here we go. So I've already clicked Start Lab, and we're going to set up network and HTTP load balancers. It gives us a username and password. I'm going to copy the username and open the Google console. You can see I had lots of student accounts because of times I've taught these labs before, but I'm going to paste in the username that they gave me for this one time now. And then I'm going to copy the password and I'll paste the password over there. Next. I don't want another profile. I want to be using that student account. And then I'll say agree. Okay, I'll hide that navigation menu. Now, the next thing it says to do. Log in, use another account. Don't sign up for any free trials or do recoveries. Options. Now it says to use the Cloud Shell. The Cloud Shell is basically a little Linux server in the cloud, but it's a virtual machine. So they only actually run it while you're using it. So you open it up and you can use it for a little while, and then it'll shut down when you're not actively using it. So I'll hit Activate Cloud Shell. And that's going to open up down here. Got it. And then I'll make that a little bit bigger so everybody can see. If I can change the font size too. I noticed it came up in yellow here. If it's got the project ID in yellow like this, then I know it's already set up just fine. And it's got this student there. It doesn't say like my own personal username. It says student. This means everything was set up right. So we can skip, if we have that, we can skip those two auth list and list project steps, or you can still do them. Copy and paste those in and run it one by one, authorize. Okay, and then that just is going to list the account, and that account name is the same as what it shows in the prompt there. If you didn't get that yellow though, then there'd be a problem and you'd want to not only run these, but you'd want to fix that. Then you could close the Cloud Shell and open it back up again. That sometimes fixes it for people. Okay, both of those look fine. Now we're going to set the default region and zone. So I told you that we were going to set it to Central 1A, which basically means the Iowa data center that Google has, the big one. Now it's not just one data center, but it's like one complex with multiple data centers and lots of servers. Okay, paste in both of those commands, and that set the zone and the region both to US Central. There's also like East Coast and West Coast kinds of zones, and zones in Europe and Asia, and all over. So all of those commands ran. So now we're on to task 2. We're going to create 3 virtual machines, and we'll install Apache on them, and we'll set up a firewall rule so that the HTTP traffic can go to them. Now to do that, it's got this one command here that looks like it does a lot of stuff. So it's going to create a compute instance. So it'll create a virtual machine called www1. It's going to use Debian, which is a Linux. So Debian Linux, and it'll be in the US Central 1A zone, and it'll be tagged as network load balancer tag, so that it's easy for us to work with these ones later, but just by using that tag name. And it's going to add a startup script. Oh, so the first time it starts, it's going to update itself, install the Apache web server, start or restart the Apache web server service, and it's going to set up a web page so that when you visit it. Now, this wasn't written by just somebody who had never used the cloud before. This was written by somebody who knows exactly what to type to get a Linux computer set up as a web server, and exactly what to put in to put a web page there into it. So they don't worry that this syntax, that some of this seems weird. We're just trying to get more familiar with this, using it over and over until it becomes something that feels more normal. Now, but this startup script here, that's a bash shell script. And that's not something that you would normally know unless you had worked as like a Linux user or a Linux system administrator writing those kinds of scripts. So don't worry if that part seems a little bit out of the ordinary. Now I'm going to copy this. I'll paste it over here in the Cloud Shell and hit enter and I'll see what happens. Hopefully it works just fine. So right now it's busy setting up a server and with a certain operating system I told it, and then it's going to set up the network and it's going to install updates and do all kinds of things. And that says it's running. So that's cool. Now we've got another one to do. The next one is going to be called www2, and the web page is going to be slightly different. So only 2 characters are different, 1 to 2. Okay, I'm going to copy that and paste that. Now, if we had 99 web servers, then we would have 99 problems, right? 99 different things to worry about. Right now, we've got 2 web servers. We're about to have 3. Okay, copy this, paste that in. Hopefully folks are doing just fine. If not, feel free to let us know in the chat and Elaine can help out as well. And here we go. So we're about to have our 3rd web server. So the first one, its IP address ended in a 2. The next one ended in 3. And the 3rd one ended in 4. So 10.128.0.2, 3, and 4 are our 3 servers. Now it says we should make a firewall rule to allow traffic to that virtual machine. I'll copy that command and I'll paste that over here and run that. Now you can type this in. You could type all of these commands in to get yourself more familiar and to remember these better, right? The labs, after you've passed a lab and gotten that monthly subscription, then you can take any of the labs 5 times before it hits the quota. Once you've hit the quota, if you still needed more time, you can hit the question mark that's up here to ask them for additional time, like to be able to reset the quota for that lab. Then you could actually use that lab over and over, even more times. So, okay, our firewall rule is ready. Now run the following to list our instances. Now I already know that there's 10, 128.0, 2, 3, and 4, but I'll run the command they suggested, gcloud compute instances list. That actually came up last week as something that we needed to do. We needed to list the instances we had. And here you can see 2, 3, and 4. They're all 1 processor, standard 1 processor virtual machines, and they're all running. So 3 of them. And now it says curl http:// and then it says IP address. Well, the IP addresses are going to be this 2, this 3, and this 4. So I'll copy just this first part. So if you copy the whole thing, it's going to fail, right? Because when you paste it, you'll have to edit out and put the IP address in. So this one, .2. And I'm going to teach you a trick because there's a lot of people who don't like to have to type extra. So I'll try this first one and see what happens. Well, gosh, it didn't load. Maybe they want us to use the external IP. That's possible. I'm going to try that. I'll try the external IP address, this 92 here. So there's totally different addresses on those 3. I'll try that. Oh, there you go. So we needed to use the external IP addresses. Okay. So I don't have a super trick for that. I'm going to have to copy them and paste them just like everybody else. Oops. But I will teach you a trick anyway. So if I had to do this at work and I saw that this list, this file here, and look, they came up just fine with saying 1, 2, and 3. If I had this at work and I knew I was going to have to loop over those external IPs, I'd take that command. I would use this pipe. The pipe here is next to the back. It's kind of close to the backspace character. It's above the slash, so you have to hit shift and then backslash. And I'll do that, and then I'll select just the lines that say external IP. So I'll grep. And this isn't to make you have to do this. This is to get you inspired about the kind of things you could do once you learn the skills. So I'll look just for the lines that say external. And then, okay, that's cool. That's just the list of the ones we would want. And then I want just the part on the right-hand side of those. So I want this to get just the stuff after. So I want to get rid of it. I want to get rid of everything before the colon space. And then I want to get rid of all of that. And that'll get me just those three. And then I want to take all of that. Now this is for I in that list. Dash N1 or just X args. Now I'll do that curl command and I'll make it so it'll do it one after another after another. And there I'll say, there I want the $i. Curly braces, oops. So then if you had a list of like 1,000, it would work the same. Now here, look at that. I had it get the list of servers, only get the external IP lines, cut it to just get the IP addresses, put the IP addresses into a row, and then loop through those one by one, running the curl command for each of those. So something like that would work for 1 server, 2 servers, or 1,000 servers, or even more. So if you had a whole bunch of them and somebody was like, oh, I've got to search for look at all of these and see if they're the right ones, I would say, I could do it. Just send me the instructions, send me the command. And then, using some of these Unix or Linux related skills, these kind of shell scripting sort of skills, you can do all kinds of things just with, look at that, one line went from having this and having to copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste, to something that we can run once, or we could run this all the time on any size of list. Maybe there's a maximum around 10,000 or so, because you might hit a shell limit on the number of items in that list. But that loads the web page, and this is a super simple web page. If you look at it, it won't be very pretty, but that super simple web page just says www1. Now here's a trick. We can also go and look at this web page with our web browser. And there you go, www1. And of course, the next one is going to say www2. Yep. And third one, if the third one doesn't say www3, I'd be really surprised. And it does. So that's that. I'm going to hit check my progress, and I'm going to get 30 points. There it goes. I didn't get the check mark here yet, but I already got the 30 points right there on the lab. Now, let's set up the load balancer to balance load between these 3 servers. We know that they're working. We saw it just me going with a regular web browser. I was able to get to those 3 servers. So I know they're really there, and that the firewall is allowing me to get to them. Now let's set up a load balancer. So copy this command here. Gcloud compute addresses create network load balancer IP address IP1. So with 1 IP address. So 1 IP address that then will expand out to cover all, cover multiple, and in the central region. Now that's only a load balancer, but it doesn't connect it to these servers that we've made yet. So paste that, and that'll create that. It'll take a moment, and then we'll add a health check, so that it'll look to see that that server's up, and it'll only send traffic to the servers that are up. So if we tried to visit www3 and it wasn't working, we wouldn't want traffic to go there. We want it to figure that out and just send the traffic to 1 and 2. So I'll create this basic health check. And you can memorize the commands and probably type them faster. I'm not very fast at typing, so I like to copy them and paste them if I can. Let's see, add a target pool in the same region. All right, we can do that. So that's going to help us connect. Well, the next one there is going to connect the pool. We're going to connect the pool to the load balancer or to the health check, and then the instances to the pool, and then a forwarding rule to connect the load balancer to the pool. So there's a bunch of different pieces, and we're connecting them all together. At this stage, you just have to run the commands. But when you learn more about how this stuff works, then you'll learn about why they're called the certain things they are and what they really do for those different pieces. So we've got that basic check ready. Good. So that was the basic check. And then there was the other, okay, there. So now next one is to make add these instances, www 1, 2, and 3 to the www pool that we just made. So we just made that a pool called www pool. If you were using the console, the GUI, the graphical user interface to do this, you'd click, click, click to do this work. Here, we're able to do that with commands, and you could take these commands, put them all together into a script, and run that, and maybe do a whole bunch of work all at once and not have to do every separate command. They're having us do these all separate so that we learn them and have a chance to become more familiar with each of the steps of this. Let's see. So I did that, and now we've got those instances are part of our pool, and you'll see that it updated the pool. And I'll do that forwarding rule to connect the load balancer that we made to the target pool. And that'll be just awesome. Copy that, come over here, paste it. Is that going to work? Yes. It already updated the score to 45, but I didn't click the button yet. And there it goes, 50. But I didn't hit the button. So it's working ahead. It's a little bit ahead of us. There you go. And it knows that this is going to work, even though it hasn't completed. All right, there we go. So that rule is created. So now we're going to send traffic. All right, so we'll put in describe the rule. Okay, so this will let us see the rule that's out there. This doesn't make it. This describe command is just going to share with us what that rule is about. So there's a rule, and here's the IP address that we can hit, and then it tells us that it's external, and it's for port 80, and what it's going to do. So it's going to run this, use this www rule, and it's going to send traffic to the www pool, which is those 3 servers. So if I hit this IP address here out in the browser, let's see if that works now. And it does. And this time it went to www1. Hit it again. Hit it again. Well, it keeps going to server number 1. Or I'm not doing a full reload. Oh, keep sending the traffic to www1. So what's going on? Now it says, use this curl command to access the external IP address, replacing the IP with the address from the previous command. Well, that's this command up here. So that's, all right, so we'll do that. And now look, while true, do curl, that looks a little bit, that do syntax looks a little bit like the command I was using earlier. So the while true, a while loop starts off with the word while, and then there's a condition. And if you say true, that's always true. So it just means like forever, just like always, and then do whatever the thing is that you're asking it to do. Here, I'll show you one. While true, do echo, this is fun. There you go. And then, see, then it would just make a loop that's just doing the thing that you that you asked it to do. And it just does over and over and over. So instead of having it print out, this is fun, let's have it run the curl command. And it says -M1 and then IP address. Well, I've got the IP address ready to paste. So I'll paste that. Okay, so now it's going to hit that over and over and over. And you see we're getting the 1s and 2s and 3s in there in pretty much equal number. So I did that and then hit Control-C to stop the running of that. Okay, so we've got a load balancer and it's working. And that's a network-based load balancer and not just a HTTP load balancer. Now, the HTTP load balancer has some different policies, like you can have different pages on a site route to different places, and that's kind of cool. The network-based ones, just every visit at all to that server, goes, or all to the main IP address goes to one of the servers. But with an HTTP load balancer, you can have it inspect the traffic and look and see what address they're asked for. So for example, on this page here, it's quicklabs/focuses/12007. So you could, for example, have it route the traffic for this certain lab to one server versus a different lab to a different server or to a different pool of servers. So there's all kinds of neat things you can do. So now we're going to create a load balancer template and do some more things. So for this, let's see. All right, it's got a lot of stuff. I'm going to copy it, cross my fingers, and hope it works. I'll paste that in. Okay, and is that going to work? If it does, we'll end up with an instance template that'll make a load balanced backend template. Okay. And then we'll make a managed instance group using that template. And get this, by saying size 2, it's going to set up 2. So we won't even have to. So instead of having us go and make the individual servers, the instance groups are kind of cool. It's going to do a similar thing of like setting up Apache, right? And such. Let's see, paste this, enter. And then it's automatically going to make 2 servers just because the size is 2. If the size was 20, it would set up 20 servers. So if you needed a web server or 20 of them or 100 of them quick, you could just change that number, run the command, change the number. You'd also want to change what page it's using as the web page. You probably don't want to just serve up a page that says www1 or 2 or 3. Yeah. Let's see. Just see if we got any feedback or how we're doing for time. Okay, things are good. So we've got 55 points out of the 100. Let's keep working so we can get all 100 points and end successfully. Now, ran this. So we've got 2 servers now. And we're going to do a firewall allow health check firewall rule. Now that's going to allow traffic to come in to from Google's own internal service that they use for doing the health checks. So Google Cloud health check systems are in this address range and that address range. Okay, so we're going to open that up. So our servers will allow those 2 ranges of servers. Network ranges are a big topic. It'd at least be something that you'd study in a networking class for like half a day to try to get familiar with network addresses and the ranges of addresses. But basically, like if something has just a normal address, it won't have this slash after it, and it won't have some number. And the bigger the number, the more specific, and the smaller the number, the more addresses are in that group or in that range. Like a /16 here, that's a big group of addresses, but a /8 is millions and millions of addresses. A /22, like this first one, is a much, much smaller group of addresses. A /24, even smaller. And that's all I'll say on that for now. But I ran the command, and it looks like it worked. So we've created a firewall. Right there, it says created. So that's good. And creating firewall, done, it says. So there's ingress, an inbound firewall rule now. Ingress is about traffic coming in, and egress is about traffic leaving. So we don't have a firewall rule about what traffic can leave our servers. If you're working at somewhere that's really security conscious, they'll have ingress firewall rules and also egress firewall rules, because if you've got secrets, you don't want to let them just jump right out. If you imagine the old time castles, they wouldn't let someone take a big chest full of gold out very quickly or very easily, right? They'd just as much want to prevent people from leaving with the good stuff than they would want to prevent bad people from getting in to get at the good stuff. So they want to protect in both directions. Because if you can stop someone from leaving with the stuff, and if they know that they won't be able to leave with it, that's a good deterrent. Okay, so I've run that. The next one is to set up a global static external IP address that people can use to reach the load balancer. On the last one, it just made that automatically. Here, if we're doing it this way with HTTP ones, we're asking it to make that. And we want to get the address. So you actually have to run another command to get the address. It doesn't just give it to you. So there's a command, we'll run that. So it's one of those describe commands. Remember, there's a create to ask for the thing, and then describe to let me see it. And here's the address. I'm going to hit it, go there too early. I'm just going to try and go in there right now, see what happens. Maybe nothing. Oh, it didn't work. It couldn't find it. So it's not ready to go yet. But that's okay. So we've got the address, and now we'll make a health check for the load balancer. Okay. Paste down over here. That's for port 80. So it hasn't connected the load balancer to the instances yet, and that's what's going on. So we've got the health check. I'll create a backend service. And this one's going to be protocol HTTP. So just normal web. And here's the magic. We're going to add our instance group as the back end of the backend service. All right, that'll connect those ideas together. Oh, well, also we have the map and the proxy. So there's a little bit more to it than that. The map is about which URL, which parts of the URL make it go to which server. So there's certainly more steps that we're doing on this one than we did on the last one, when we were doing network-based versus HTTP. And remember, a lot of these commands you'll just have in a kind of like a cookbook, and you'll have them all bundled together, and you'll run them together. You're not going to normally do a lot of these things one by one by one. A lot of times you'll come up with the policy or the standard, and then you're just going to use that for all of the ones that you're creating in a way that's more automated. Okay, so I've done that. So now I've got a URL map done, and I'll set up an HTTP proxy to route traffic to that URL map. We last did this back in, I think, October, November-ish timeframe when we were doing this same lab. And if you were with us back then this is old hat. And you've seen this before. Okay, so we've got that set up. Let's see, did the map. Next one is a forwarding rule. I bet this address doesn't work yet, but it will after we get this done. Paste that in, and then let's go try it out. Just for fun, I'll refresh this one. It's not ready yet. Now we're up to 90 points, so they know that we're doing something right. Okay, come back over here, refresh. It's not working yet. I wonder what it could be. But it says we're at 90 points out of 100. So, please verify the web servers are serving on the front-end HTTP load balancer. All right, let's see. When they're healthy, you can test it with a web browser. Yeah. Oh, this may take 3 to 5 minutes. I guess because I saw it said 90 before, I was thinking it was going to be so fast. But yeah, if it's going to take 5 minutes, then it'll take 5 minutes. And that'll give us that last 5 points, and we'll be at 100, and we'll be done. Woohoo! Yay! All right, it was served. So I bet if I refresh this here, I'll go and come back, that it'll be happy there too. No, that still says none for the ports. That might not actually be a requirement though. Because it looks like it's working. Let's see, check my progress. Yeah, 100 of 100. And we passed it. So that's a good time. So we finished that quest. So if we went back to this Cloud Essentials quest, you'll see that fun confetti and that you've got them all. That's the lab, the 1/23. If you wanted to take on another challenge, /120 is the same one, except it adds a challenge lab where you basically have to do this stuff on your own without some of the commands just being fed to you. So it's a little tougher, right? It takes an hour, and I think I've done that one a couple times. I'm sure I didn't pass it the first time, but I kept at it and eventually got it. So there's that, and now I'm going to close this, and I'll leave that, and I'll close this other one. Thanks again for attending the School of Cloud. Now check out some of our other videos, and see you back next time.